Have you noticed that the more you have conversations about something, the more you are forced to either take action about that thing or to review your life about that, to align yourself around that? And that's why Christians, for the most part, they will want to do what they call fellowships, in that the guys come together every single week and they discuss matters related to their faith, so that can translate into some kind of relevant attached action to their conversation. Conversations are important, and the conversation that needs to be on our minds, for the most part, I think, is the conversation about our health and our vitality, our wellness. And this is concerning how we're going to deploy our life purpose, our life's work, because there's no way we're going to do it without having health. So I want us to just discuss one reason as to why we are not so keen about our health, either mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever it is, in this episode, even as we continue in the series. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
You never know how critical something is until you lose it. Like I quoted yesterday that health is like money. You only see the importance when you've lost it. It's that critical. But sometimes we're so oblivious and we're so familiar. Sometimes we take things that we're so familiar with. See, you're always seeing your wife on a daily basis. So what do? You take her for granted. Not in a bad way, but you just become too familiar. You don't see, you see your kids on a daily basis, so what do? You take them for granted. Look at a man who has gone abroad to study or to work or whatever it is and has been separated from the family. That man will give, I don't know what he will give to just for a second to be with his family, because they are no longer there. Or at least for that particular season, they are not available. And so we in the same way when we are having our health, so to speak, let me put that health in quotes, there are no issues, okay? As in, we are eating on a daily basis, we are drinking water on a daily basis, we're sleeping well, there are no issues and so on. We just tend to take our health for granted until the day I remember some years back, we visited the Kenyatta National Hospital, the cancer ward for kids. You guys, seriously heartbreaking. And it just it makes you see yourself in the mirror and you just start asking yourself questions concerning your health, concerning the things that you're taking for granted. The very fact that you can walk from whatever place it is, you can walk to another place, you take that for granted and you don't walk. You just sit the whole day. We are discussing in this episode the importance of health and vitality in the pursuit of our purpose. That we need to be in top-notch condition in order to pursue our purpose. And there is no way we're going to be in top-notch condition by default or arbitrarily or automatically. we're going to have to be intentional about it. We're going to have to schedule it, put some time for it, and so on. And I've been looking and I've been discussing in these episodes the reasons as to why we don't take our health seriously. I'm going to do a recap and then we'll end up with one before we proceed tomorrow and give us some kind of advantages that we have in the pursuit of health and wellness. The first reason as to why we take our health for granted, or we don't maybe are not intentional about our health and so on, is because we're ignorant. There's a lot of ignorance in terms of health. We are bashing people who are trying to champion health. There's a doctor, there's a wellness doctor, nutritionist actually on Facebook in Uganda. He's called Dr. Kasenene. And maybe even on a daily basis, he posts things. You can just Google him, Dr. Kasenene. He posts things. And you know what people do? People laugh at this guy and they just, throw barbs at him and so on. It's funny, but he posts very interesting stuff about, red wine, about leafy vegetables, about cholesterol, about sleep, about exercise. I mean, he posts things about health and wellness. And there's a lot of ignorance out there that is a result of people not taking their health seriously. They take their health for granted because of ignorance. That's the first thing. But then the second thing that makes people not really take their health seriously is because they just are not intentional. And I'm going to talk about that again today. People are just not intentional about it. They know. Quite a number of people know my health is critical to my purpose. My health is critical to my productivity. My health is critical to my relationships. My health is critical to my work. My health is critical to my career and my pursuits in life. My health is critical to my life itself. But they just don't intend to take steps towards living divinely and fostering that health. They don't just, it's like, I don't have time for it. I'm going ahead of myself. They don't intend. There is no way you're going to run if you don't intend to. If you're going to be pointed about it and draw a schedule about it, that's when it's going to happen. About dates? You've seen that beautiful girl or that handsome guy and so on, and you want to take him for a date, or want to take her for a date and so on. Is it going to happen arbitrarily? No, you're going to be intentional about it, okay? You're going to be intentional about it, even if you have butterflies in the stomach and so on and so forth. You're going to be intentional about it. You're going to ask. You just can't be winking and smiling, and when she sees you, you're smiling and so on. She doesn't know what you want. She has absolutely no clue what you want. That's the same thing when you're being told by motivational speakers about the universe. Doesn't know what you want until you ask what you want. That's the same thing with health. We've got to be intentional about it. The moment we set our intention and we'll put our intention on the stake and so on, what happens is that action is going to follow the intention. But then the third reason, this is just connected to what I've just been talking about. The third reason as to why people don't take this seriously is because they simply believe they don't have time. I don't have time for that stuff. And yet, if you look at the things they do, there's a guy, when I was staying in Nairobi, it's a point in time I was staying in Nairobi in a place called South Sea, and one of the neighbors in that particular place, a man, maybe middle-aged man, and those guys in the middle class, he had a Subaru. Kenyans will call it Subaru. It's a Subaru. And I'm telling you, every single evening, this guy will come back and meticulously clean his Subaru. It used to be a spectacle. The same guy, you will not see him doing any kind of physical exercise. Probably is doing it in his house. And so my point I'm trying to raise here is that we think we don't have time for health, but we do have time for other things. It's not an issue of time, really. It's an issue of priority. It's an issue of what we think is important and where we put our premium priority on. That's where we follow. If you think your car is much more important than your health, maintaining your car and making it clean is much more important than your health, what are you going to do? You're going to clean your car. You're going to wax your car. You're going to do all those manner of things about your car. and you're going to do nothing about your health because you don't have priority about it. That's why you think you don't have time for it. You think you don't have time for your health, but you have time for your work. Not knowing at the end of the day that the work you do, the efficiency, the effectiveness is connected to your health. Up until you are down, that's when you realize, hey, wait a minute, I am having my priorities warped here. Health is supposed to come above the car. Health is supposed to come above the work that I'm doing. It's supposed to be the main thing that I'm supposed to be doing. So people don't do health because they think that they don't have time. They do have time. They do have quite a bit of time. It's just that it's priority. Priority is not being shifted correctly because of maybe lack of knowledge or whatever it is. Or maybe again, issues related to health are not funny, as in fun, so to speak. It's fun to eat an extra chapati. It is not fun to do one extra press up. It is fun to, lounge on the bed and whatever, in the couch and just flip through channels. It is not fun to go out and sprint and jog and so on, unless you're playing a game. It's an issue of comfort. Again, it's an issue of comfort. If you are so much in love with comfort, then you should be so much in love with your health. Because sooner or later, if all you're doing is just being comfortable and putting yourself in a comfortable bubble, one day it's going to burst. And when that bubble bursts, what happens? You realize that I should have prioritized. I did actually have time for my health, and I thought I didn't. So we are tied down with things that take away our time. And for the most part, these things are those that are outside of our purpose of life. It's interesting. The things that we are saying, I don't have time to do my health. I don't have time to... There are things mostly that are not within the equation of our purpose. And that's a sad thing. A good example is what I'm doing in that job I mentioned earlier on. Just teaching people about clicking with the mouse, Windows 95, Windows 98. It might have been a necessity for me at that particular moment, and I had to put food on the table, and so on. But later on, when I walked out of that job, I knew that, it wasn't the best thing for me at that moment in time. And it just, when you lose something, that's when you realize how priorities normally shift. You're not going to buy back the time you waste by not doing an exercise, by not drinking 8 glasses of water in a particular day, by not eating leafy vegetables and eating a guava or a mango or an orange or a carrot. You're not going to get that time back, but you can start today, and you can prioritize today your health. How much time do you take to sleep? How much time do you spend sitting in one location? How much time do you spend in doing some kind of physical exercises? Do you stretch? Do you cardiovascular? Do you do strength training? How much time do you spend outside, outside of the house or outside of the workplace and so on? You realize that it's important to do all these things only when you have hit a snag with your health, which should not be something that we should be doing. So we need to do this. There's so much I can be able to discuss as far as this health is concerned. For example, can discuss about the things that are happening in Japan and the life expectancy in Japan, how people are living very long lives and so on and so forth. So when you're thinking that you don't have time for your health, chances are that probably what you're doing is even outside of your purpose. And only when you step outside of that thing that is holding you hostage, so to speak, that's when you get on a path that forces you to start reevaluating yourself and reevaluating where your life is taking you. So we're going to start talking about the importance of health, which we've already been discussing, but the importance of health in your pursuit of purpose. So until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.